Hey, everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Ryan, Heavenly Hills Homestead. And this evening, we've got Michelle from Big Valley living with us. And I'm so thankful that we got her to come on. I didn't know if we would be able to, but messaged her and she said absolutely. And so here she is. Thank you so much for joining us this evening and welcome to the channel.
Thanks, Ryan. How are you today?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. So I kind of want to jump right on into this. First and foremost, what made you want to get into living the lifestyle that you're living right now, to where you're urban homesteading, right? You're growing your own food and stuff. What made you want to get into that kind of life?
Well, several reasons. First of all, I'm going to have to hold on. There we go. Okay. I have the other side on. I always have two screens. Okay. Well, several reasons. One, I just have always enjoyed gardening. My mother tells me that I was born a century too late. That I should have been, a gardener or something like that. And then we live in a place where we can garden nearly year round. But really, we had a health crisis in our house and we wanted to grow our own food and can as much as we can. Then the pandemic hit and that really ramped everything up. And we like to grow antioxidant food. So while we grow the normal stuff, right? We grow some tomatoes. We can't grow lettuce outside in the summer and stuff like that because it's too hot. But we're really focused on things like trees. We have a big pomegranate tree. We have all kinds of citrus, different oranges, different lemons. And this year, I'm pointing out towards my imaginary front yard. My husband went out and in addition to the pink lady apple tree, we now have a Granny Smith, and then we have an apricot, a peach, a nectarine, and it's crazy. And we have a 1/4 acre. So lots and lots of trees.
Right.
And then we have blackberries and raspberries as well, because they're all really good for us. And this year, we're going to try strawberries, but we've never been successful with strawberries.
Strawberries are one of those things in my working with them where they do exceptionally well one year, and then it seems like they fall on their face for like 2 or 3 years, and then they come back and do really well, and then they fall on their face. And I've not been able to really do well with them. And I mean, I've gotten some pretty big ones, but and they just kind of, like I said, fall on their face, and that's kind of the end of it. So I think this year what I'm going to do is I'm going to prune some of them. Well, not prune them, but I'm going to cut them back some to where they're not so thick, because it seems like when they're not as thick, they do a whole lot better than when they're really, really heavily populated in the area. And I'm just going to take those extra ones and I'm either going to replant them somewhere else in the yard or I'm going to sell them. So, it could be an income for you guys as well. If you wanted to sell strawberry plants, you just pull up the crown and sell those. And they do really well when you resell them, especially when they're climatized to your area.
Well, what we're actually going to do this year is, we're getting ready to prune our pomegranate back. And we have, the juice you buy in the figure 8 for pomegranate juice.
That stuff's good.
Yeah, we have that variety. We have a wonderful tree. And our tree came from a neighbor then 23 years ago. It lived in a bucket for a few years.
Wow.
And then when we finally decided, okay, this is where she's going to be forever, we planted it in the ground. And I don't know if it sounds like you do propagate and you do trim up and everything. So, when you propagate a rose, you pull off the soft, like the wood cutting, and then trim it up, put it in some rootone, and then, let it root out.
Right.
Well, you do the same thing with a pomegranate. So right now we have to heavily prune our pomegranate this year, but we have a lot of soft wood. It's like, I don't know, 8 inches,
right.
10 inches. And we saw the exact same plants at Costco that we'll be cutting off, I think they were sitting in like maybe shavings or something to root out.
Right.
$23.95.
I can believe it.
I could sell those babies all day long for $10 and
Yep,
use the money for gardening and,
exactly.
offset our gardening addiction.
That's right. That's right. As homesteaders, gardeners, we must find ways to prop up our hobbies, right?
Yes.
And what we do is we make an investment, such as a plant or a tree,
Mhm.
and we propagate that, or we get the seeds off of it and sell them, and
Yep.
that's what props up our hobby. And then the next person does it, and the next person does it, and the next person does it. That's just how it is. So I'm all for that. I am all for that, especially
I think
whenever.
it's fun.
Yeah, it is very fun, especially
Yeah.
whenever these stores are selling things that 9 times out of 10 you buy for $25 or whatever, and they don't make it.
Right.
Whereas
Schools used to honor it for a year. They'd say, if the plant dies within a year, I guess they got burned on that from people who planted them and never watered them.
right,
But they don't do that anymore. You can take it home and it can be looking very vigorous when you put it in the ground. Do everything under the sun to keep it alive, and if it poops out, it's too bad. So sad.
Yep, exactly. I've tried that with so many different plants, raspberries, blueberries, whatever, and they look great. And you put them in the ground, and a little bit, a month or two later, they don't look good anymore.
Blueberries. That's another thing we just planted. We planted 9 blueberry. No, I think we got down to 6. 6 blueberry plants. So they're going to be a hedge.
Right.
And right now we have. So it's what, February 27th.
Yep.
We have probably hundreds of teeny tiny blueberries and buds.
I'm jealous because nothing here is blooming or doing anything. Everything's dead still.
Yeah, well, yeah. But see, we're going to be in the summer, we'll be in like 110, 114 range.
Yeah, no.
You get as hot as Phoenix here.
Yeah. We don't want that here. Yeah. 100 is good for us.
No, not even for me. I grew up here and I cannot stand the heat. Once it gets over about 80 or 85 degrees, you're going to find me in a shady spot in the backyard or in an air-conditioned building.
Right? Yeah. Because we melt when it gets like that. Right? At least I do.
You're fair and redheaded like I am, so I'm sure you know all about that pretty burn and peel cycle that you go through every year.
I actually tan really good.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Like like let's say I come in at night and I'll look red as a lobster.
Uh-huh.
I wake up the next morning and I'm dark.
That's my husband. Okay, I don't like people like you guys.
It's funny. But what? So it sounds like you guys are really focused on things that are high in antioxidants, the anthocyanins and things like that. Mm-hmm. What have you found to be the benefits of those fruits and stuff that you're eating? I mean, what makes you want to continue to plant more of that? Because most people are going to say, well, you've got enough. I know the benefits of them, but there's going to be a lot of people on here that they don't know the benefits of eating things that are rich in antioxidants and anthocyanins. So can you explain what all you guys have seen by eating a more dense and richer, nutrition and higher antioxidants and anthocyanins?
Sure. Well, first of all, with citrus, before I get into that, the reason that we have so many different varieties is to hopefully have a steady supply year round of all of those fruits. Okay. And, they ripen at different times of the year, and we have a freeze dryer and we like to just juice and stuff like that. So that's one of the reasons. But the fiber is amazing. We get all of, I like to eat the rainbow, and it just makes us feel better. To know we're putting good food into our bodies. It wards off cancer. It keeps your body clean. It gives you good energy, right? Good energy, not that energy from the big, the restaurants. I don't like restaurant food as a whole. And we do like clean, healthy living. But again, eating the rainbow here is really not popular. It's important to JJ and I. Right.
So what like as far as health wise,
Mm-hmm.
what's the difference? Like, do you sleep better? Do you have like lower blood pressure? Your A1C and things like that, are they better in check?
My
Have you guys?
A1C isn't in great check right now, but you know why? I haven't been eating my fruit. We haven't been eating our fruit, and so my A1C spikes just from anything because it's not regulated.
Right,
But yeah, you do sleep better. Your skin looks better. You just feel better, and I don't know. I just like the way I feel when I eat real food
right,
versus crap. And when I get lazy sometimes and I eat crap, okay, fridge biscuits, oh, let's grab a bag of white bread, and we'll have whatever. I hate,
right.
you feel it. It catches up with you after a day or two.
Yep.
Our stomachs get kind of messed up from stuff like that too. Processed meats and things like that. We had pizza last night, homemade pizza, and pepperoni sounded really good. So
Right.
I went over to the store and I had some fresh pepperoni sliced, put that on there, and both of us woke up after kind of a crummy night's sleep because we had eaten some really heavily processed food. We should have stuck to the vegetables and the pesto, and we
Right.
would have been fine.
It's so hard to get away though from processed food because how do you make pizza? Like, I mean, when I want pizza, I'm either going to put sausage on it, ham on it, or pepperoni on it. Like you said, you can have veggie pizzas, but it's very hard to get away from those things. To get away from the heavily processed food. Do
Mhm.
you think it's the store bought heavily processed food that is the problem, or do you think if we made it at our house, you think that would do any different?
No, smoked food is smoked food, right? They have nitrites in them and nitrates, and so like we all know that as much as we like, well, at least me, I
Yeah,
like I like a murdered hot dog on the grill. Okay, I want it black and crunchy.
right,
Well, that's really bad for us. That's really, really bad for us. Um, and we've learned to use vegetables in really interesting ways. And if we're working on getting rid of all meat products in our house, except for really healthy or wild meats. And even then, we're looking at, and we talk about it, we get ourselves into that mode, maybe meat about once a week. And that way, our bodies know how to process it. And we have more money to spend on it because we'll be buying less of it, or wild caught fish.
right,
We do not eat any farmed fish, period. That's bad
right,
for the environment, it's bad for our bodies, and it's bad for the wild fish for sure. Um, but I've found that having mushrooms as a meat substitute, and I'm not trying to substitute meat, but mushrooms have that heft and that really good deep flavor, and you can
right,
cut into it and everything. And then that with some salad and some grains and everything, or another fresh vegetable, you start eating that way and your kitchen feels cleaner and your body feels cleaner. I just That's why I prefer to eat that way.
right.
Mhm.
So I keep hearing, the nitrates and things. Now I know what they are, the nitrates and nitrites.
Mhm.
Can you explain to everyone who might not know what that is? Because you gotta, well, it's
I'm not
basically
just saying perfect here. I just
just
they raise your bad cholesterol.
right,
They raise your bad cholesterol. They affect your liver, which in turn affects your liver in a negative manner. And so I'm going to go a little bit why it's really important to me. I had colon cancer at 50, and it turned into stage 4.
mm,
And so I'm in remission, and I'm really happy about that. But I want to keep it that way. I want to
right,
be that person who said, "Oh yeah, I've been living this, after surviving and everything." That was 20 years ago. I want to be
right,
that person, and I have to stay away from foods like that. And I recommend almost everybody stay away from foods like that
right,
because they stress your body so much that it starts fighting itself. And JJ and I were truck drivers in our 20s and into our early 30s. And if you have ever had, and this was okay, I should go back. This is before refrigerators were common in semis. It's much better now. It's much easier in a truck to live well than you could in the late 80s, early 90s. So we were a slave to the truck stop. And a lot of times we didn't have time. We were cross-country truck drivers and local. We didn't have the time to sit down, go to the salad bar and get a good healthy meal. And let's face it, old school truckers didn't like that kind of food anyway. So the truck stops catered to the people who were going to be there eating.
Right.
And so it was always heavy and it was processed pancakes and stuff. Although in Kearney, Nebraska, there was a 76 truck stop and they always had homemade barley and mushroom soup. Oh. And I love that truck stop. But it's gone now, I'm sure. Anyway, so we did eat a lot of processed food, right? We ate a lot of cheese, and because it kept in a cooler longer. We could get summer sausage or salami, and it would keep in a cooler longer. So our diet was really heavy in that. And then if you didn't have time to go into the restaurant, you'd go to the hot case.
Right.
And now so in there, everything's fried or, overdone and often loaded with nitrites. So at that time we were young, we were healthy, we were active. And so your body, you don't really feel the effects of it on your body when you're young.
Right.
And then the older you get, then you start feeling it.
Yep. Absolutely. And I totally agree with that. The mushroom part. The mushroom part is very I really want to talk about, because mushrooms have so many different healing properties to our bodies. Not only do they taste good and are good for you, and I can name several of my family members who will watch this video and say, "Oh, I hate mushrooms. They're disgusting. They're slimy. They're this, they're that." Quit eating the ones out of the can.
Yeah.
Right. And it'll bring on a whole new meaning as to what a mushroom is. Right. Let's talk about mushrooms, if you will, because I love mushrooms. I love any type of mushroom. And if it's an edible one, I'm all about it. And I wouldn't mind trying some micro dosing, to be honest with you. Okay. Let's just
legal, apparently.
Yeah. Let's just keep it real.
Let's do it.
If they made it legal, I would try microdosing, because I have seen legitimate studies behind that show that there's healing properties in there for a lot of things in the body, right? Yeah. It's not meant, microdosing, let's clear this up first, not meant to get high and to trip on, okay? No. It is meant to heal the body, not for some psychedelic, because I don't want to trip. I have no desire to get high or
makes me nervous. I think I would go into it. I think with anything that you do, even people who go and have a couple beers to unwind after work, okay? If you go into it with a negative mindset, a fearful mindset, your brain is so incredibly powerful.
Yes, it is.
So if you go into something and you enter that with any trepidation or any kind of a problem, you're probably guaranteeing yourself a bad experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it just amplifies whatever your fears are or whatever it is.
Right.
So I'd be a little afraid of that. Although, now they have like, if you had a doctor and they were saying, okay, you have ADHD, this will calm you down and slow your brain down for a little bit so you can just get a breather.
Right.
Now, that might be something, because that would be like natural medicine. Right, but I would go down the street, and the guy with his little overcoat, trench coat comes out and he's got 5 different things to him.
Right. Yeah. No,
I'm not licking the dog here, buddy.
Right. I don't want that either. But you're right. Microdosing is meant to be, you watched over and stuff. And you think about this, it is natural medicine, as opposed to what they're giving you. And anybody that's on ADHD medicine right now, don't take me as knocking you for what you take. Mm-hmm. But you're essentially taking legal methamphetamine that the government has made and says, okay, this is what you can take, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at the compounds between methamphetamine and Vyvanse or Ritalin or Adderall, you're pretty much taking a legal methamphetamine. Okay. And so, and I'm not knocking you for it, but here's what I want you to think about. If you ever need to get off of that or ever want to get off of that, you have now become a slave to the medicine in order to make yourself better because it is highly addictive. Okay. Yep. And microdosing.
Stop taking it.
Right. And microdosing is not addictive. So just think about that, as you go on your journey of ADHD. But back to the mushroom part, mushrooms are good. I love mushrooms, morels, lion's mane, oysters, so shiitakes, all different kinds.
They're all so different. They all have their different, they have different compounds in them. With our freeze dryer, a couple of months ago, I canned mushrooms for the first time. And I did them both ways. I did them plain and pressure canned, and then I did them marinated, oddly, if anybody in here's a canner, with oil and vinegar and water bath canned, because there's enough vinegar and lemon juice in there. Yes. And they are amazing. So I can take those. Those are my portable mushrooms I can take with me and have a snack. But canned mushrooms are very slimy, going back to what you said. And home canned mushrooms are different. First of all, you're selecting the freshest ingredients you can find.
Right.
And we used, JJ's in here, ascorbic acid.
Yep.
Just for the color. But oh my goodness gracious. I drained them, and mushrooms were getting outrageous at the store for a while, and they got slimy. Okay, and an old slimy mushroom is just no good, especially a fresh one. They smell like fish to me.
There's nasty smelling.
Yeah. So I have the canned mushrooms for, hey, we really want mushrooms and we don't have fresh mushrooms in the house. I drained a couple of half pints and I sauteed them. And I only saute fresh mushrooms. These were amazing. They were firm and good. And so we took all of the little stems, and I ground those up, freeze dried them, and turned them into mushroom powder.
Oh, wow.
And now I'm going to mix that. And I should be doing this right now, but I'm sitting in my office and I don't have space. We have 3 5-gallon buckets of Meyer lemons right now on the tree. Well, 2 in buckets now and 1 on the tree. And I'm going to take all the zest off of those. I'm going to freeze dry it. And we'll be able to take that zest and I'm going to add it to the mushroom powder with maybe some fresh peppercorns.
Oh, wow.
And we'll have, can you imagine that?
Yeah.
As a flavoring or something for your food?
That'd be really good.
Make sure you tell them that the marinated mushrooms came from the USDA book.
Oh, I'm supposed to make sure that you know that those marinated mushrooms came from the USDA canning guidelines. It's a tested recipe.
Okay.
We only can tested recipes.
Right.
So he had to come in and tell me that. And I'm glad he said that. Safe canning, everybody. Safe canning.
Safe canning. Yeah.
So anyway, that's what I really like. I like to experiment with what might be considered garbage food, but it's so full of nutrients and you don't want to throw it away. When I was canning the mushrooms, you have to cook them for a certain amount of time before you put them into the jars. And I looked at this rich broth sitting in the pan and I'm like, I'm not throwing that away. And ironically, we buy mushroom broth at the grocery store.
Right.
$4.79 for a quart.
That's expensive.
That would have been stuff I just threw out,
right.
in the drain.
Right.
Yeah.
So what all would you like to try with mushrooms? Like, would you like to try to make more mushrooms powder? Would you like to try to make mushroom coffee, stuff like that? What would you like to do with mushrooms that you haven't tried yet?
I want to make there's a brand called Ohm. If I could, I could run in right now and go show you all these little items. But there are packages of powdered mushrooms, and they're different mushrooms, like lion's mane, because some have, like more vitamin K in them than others, which we're sadly lacking. Some of them have really good vitamin D properties that help us just year round, right? To
Right.
have good restorative health. And so there's a brand that you can buy probably on Amazon. I get mine over at Whole Foods because we have one nearby. And a bag, which this is why I wish I could look at it. It's a good sized bag, but it's like 4 ounces, $27.95. I would so much rather go to a local mushroom grower, get a good deal at a farmer's market, know the farmer, know the practices, support a local business,
Right.
bring it home, freeze dry it, and then do it that way. So I like to use mushroom powder in almost everything. And we also use microgreen powder, not microgreen, super green powders like kale and spinach and chard. And we just throw, like, I'm going to make spaghetti marinara sauce tonight. And I'm going to throw all those things in it. And you really don't taste it, but your body's getting that much more vitamin. And vitamins and minerals. So what I'd like to do with those, not only would I like to make powder to just sprinkle in my food. I don't know about the coffee, but I like tea, so I'd probably like that. But I like to just cook with mushrooms all different ways.
Right. We like it too. We like cooking with them in just about anything you could think of. I mean, here next month, morels will be coming up.
I've never had a morel.
Oh, they're so good.
They look good. They look interesting, and they actually have them at the store. I just haven't had the guts. I don't know what I would do with it, and until I know what I would want to do.
So you take it and you cut them rascals in half lengthwise, and you put them in some buttermilk and roll them around in some flour and air fry that rascal.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So do you leave now, like with shiitake, you're really not supposed to eat the stem, because they're real weird.
Oh, you eat the stem and all on that.
Oh, okay. So you just slice it right down the middle and off you go?
Yep, right down the middle. And I am telling you right now, it tastes so good. It tastes so good.
Like a grilled mushroom either. I absolutely love grilled mushrooms. And
those would taste good like that too. And we also make a ramp and morel mushroom pizza.
Oh, that would be really good.
Yeah, you know what ramps are, right?
No, I've heard of them, and I think I've seen them. I've heard you talk about them.
Yeah, so ramps are like a wild onion or garlic almost, right? And
yes.
And they'll be coming up next month too. So the ramps and morels come up together, and and so we dig them and pick them and eat them. But
so you forage then?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I'll bring the ramps home. You can replant the ramps and start your own ramp patch. I've
like
tried.
Green onions.
Huh?
Like green onions. You just put them in the ground and they just keep coming.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I've tried with morels to get them to establish themselves several times, but they never come back up. So
do they grow like at the base of a tree or something, like a certain kind of tree, or do you find
I mean, I've found them everywhere, but they kind of stick around elm, sycamore, stuff like that. Apple trees they like, but
my apple trees, Ryan, because I haven't seen one.
Right. You might be able to get them to grow, but they are very, very difficult. And you can go back to a spot that you found them in the year before and they not be there the next year.
Huh.
They're just weird like that. And you would think the spores would. They are and that's one of the only mushrooms that nobody can propagate, or very few people can propagate.
Okay.
If you find somebody who's propagated them and are growing them actively, you need to pick their brain for how they've done it, because it is a process. But yeah, they're really good. So we'll go out and we'll pick the ramps and the mushrooms. We'll come home and we'll make our own pizza crust, and we'll use like a white sauce, like Alfredo sauce or something like that, and put cheese down, and we'll put the the ramps down, and then put the mushrooms on there, and I'm telling you right now, it is so good.
Now I'm starving.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So yeah, we really like that. But the morels are probably the best mushroom I've ever ate. I mean, that's my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Are they earthy at all? I mean, are they
salty?
Sweet? Are they savory?
They're salty,
naturally.
Buttery. Yeah. They're like.
What's their texture like? What's the weird top part? What's that texture like?
Kind of buttery, like it just kind of like melts in your mouth.
No, it isn't spongy or anything like that.
No. It's not like lion's mane or something that's thick. You know what I mean? It's like when you cut that cap open, it's hollow. The entire cap of that is hollow. So like it's the same thickness all the way through the stem, all the way through the top.
Okay.
It looks like it's really big at the top, but it's very thin up there too.
I think that our local co-op has morels right now. I want to say I saw they always whatever's kind of in season, and everything. They usually carry. So now I want to go downtown and go check that out.
Get you some, because like what we do with them, like I said, if we'll make pizzas with them, we'll bake with them. We've tried to freeze them and keep them.
Mushrooms don't freeze well.
No. And so like we've tried different things because they're so hard to get here.
Mm-hmm.
And they're so hard to find. And most everybody that knows where the patches are that come up every year, well, they don't
know where they are.
Yeah, they don't tell.
Yeah.
And then because you think they're selling for, I think last year it was $100 a pound or something like that.
It takes a lot of mushrooms to make a pound.
Right. But they know where they're at, and they're selling pounds and pounds and pounds of them. Yeah, it's nothing for them to fill up multiple onion sacks full of them.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, and it'd be the same people. So, they're there. You win. I win. What did I win? I won. I am number one. Let's play the Nelly song real quick, and we'll get banned on YouTube. But thank you guys for letting me know. But yeah, so they're fantastic tasting. We really enjoy them here. And like I said, if I ever could find somebody like a co-op, if that ever happened around here, they would be sold out in days from them. People are so crazy about morels here. They'll snob a chanterelle or any of those things. Yeah, they'll just snob that because give them the morel over any of those other.
Oh.
Yeah. That's how good they are here.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try it. And I'll probably grill mine. To be fair, I'll probably grill up. What would really be good would be just like a mess of different mushrooms, all just grilled up, just enough to get them nice and hot. Oh,
right.
Throw a little balsamic on there and call it good. Dinner time.
They are fantastic. You'll definitely like them. And there's 3 different varieties. You got a black one, a gray one, and a yellow one.
Okay.
And the yellow ones get really, really big. The gray ones are the next biggest ones, and the black ones are the smaller ones. They don't get very big at all. They're the harder ones to find.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we love them. So I highly recommend everybody trying them because they are fantastic mushrooms. What's y'all's favorite mushroom to eat?
I am kind of boring. I don't really have a favorite, but I will say definitely the staple is going to be like a mini Bella. Just because they're so easy to find year round.
Right.
Little brown mushrooms. But I really like portobello mushrooms because here we can get them very easily. And because they're versatile, I like to use portobello mushrooms as like an alternative to having regular pizza dough and just make that mini pizza on the mushroom itself. So you gotta take the gills out, and you need to sweat it out in the oven first. I think that's the key, is to get it prepared before you fill it.
Right.
And then I like to throw a little bit of pesto in there. dab off the oil from it so it doesn't get really messy. Throw a little bit of cheese in there, or even just some salsa and horseradish. That's really good. And
Horseradish.
without the cheese, yes.
That, I love horseradish.
Me too.
I love that hot,
Yep.
spicy.
Nasal passages.
Yeah, man, I love that stuff.
But horseradish on mushrooms, I think, is really good in any way, shape, or form.
I might have to try that out now.
Yeah.
I would have never thought to have done that.
Yeah. And I haven't tried these yet, and I think they might. King oyster mushrooms. Apparently, you can slice them, you know, because you eat the stem primarily. You can slice those up and you can prepare them where they actually taste and feel like, oh, darn it. It's a fish, scallops.
Oh, yeah, I like scallops.
Mm-hmm.
Them are good.
So, yeah, I want to try that. There's a lot of things I want to try, mushroom wise. And you've heard of Tabitha Brown, right? Everybody's heard of Tabitha Brown, I hope.
I don't know. She's
the most positive, uplifting human being I have ever seen in my life. And she's on YouTube.
Okay.
She had like really bad migraines and health problems for a long time. So she went plant-based, and she's got a wonderful cookbook, and she takes regular mushroom caps, like the white ones that you get at the grocery store. She pulls out the stem, takes a bunch of them, puts them into a mixture, and part of the mixture is like that. There's a black salt out there that has a sulfur kind of smell to it. And she puts a pinch of that in there, puts them into a dill pickle jar, lets them sit for a few days, pulls them out. I can't remember what she uses for the center, but she makes like deviled eggs. And she gave one to her daughter, and her daughter thought, with her eyes closed, thought she was eating a real deviled egg.
Really?
Yes. And I have got to try that just because it's so intriguing to me.
Right.
I remember she makes carrot hot dogs with liquid smoke, and if some other things, you kind of simmer it for a while, and if you make it in just the right shape and everything to fit into a bun, they're really, really good. It's a better alternative than eating,
right,
rears and lips, right, and pieces and parts.
Right. Yeah, mechanically separated chicken and stuff. Who wants to eat a mechanically separated chicken where they heat the chicken up so hot that they take a blow thing, like literally a gun full of hot air, and blow it through a screen, and whatever fits through the screen is what you get to eat. Like you're getting beak, you're getting feet and everything else, man. I don't.
Thanks.
Next time you go to bite into a Slim Jim out there, y'all, make sure you read the back of it when you read mechanically separated chicken. You'll think twice about biting into the Slim Jim.
You know what I think is funny about those? And don't we all love that salty flavor that you get from it? But if you didn't play with your food and you start squeezing on those things, it's like all that grease comes out. That's going into my body.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like I will eat meat, right? Like I'll be the first to admit I'll eat meat.
Oh, me too.
But there are. My wife says
no, I'm not. I'm getting there. Ginger was asking if I'm completely off meat. Right. I wish I was.
My wife she says, the older you get, the pickier you're getting. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm
in a better way though, right? For yourself.
I mean, there's just some things that just turn my stomach anymore. Like I just don't like the thought of it makes me not want to eat, and I'll be honest, I don't eat but once a day.
I'm the same way.
I can't eat. I'm never hungry.
No. And I've learned, like today, I was really, really busy at work there, and I just was like, and so I got myself some pistachio nuts.
Yep.
And it's a healthier alternative than chips, and It was good and it was satisfying. So I have to reach for stuff like that. I have to have it ready. I find, I don't know about you, if I don't have veggies ready and like for salad and everything, I like to have individual bags that I know are going to make a big salad for JJ and I. And I'll do them like I'll go to the store one day and make 3 or 4 days worth, throw a towel into the, into the vessel, throw it into the fridge. And then if it's easy for me to just chop up other things and throw them in there, we will eat salad all the time.
Right.
But if I have to go through the cleaning process every single day and tearing it, and I'm going to ask you a question. Did you know that if you rip your lettuce, it won't turn orange and rusty like when you use a knife on it? If you use a knife to chop your salad, your lettuce will go bad much faster.
Huh. I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what.
And I've actually tested it. It's true.
What's the cause? Do you know?
It must be something about the metal, right? In the lettuce, just like a corrosive factor. It's not like it goes bad in a day, but when I rip my lettuce by hand and clean it and spin it, it does it. I can get it to last for like 3 to 4 weeks. No,
Really?
sorry. A full week though, 7 to 10 days.
Right.
I'm going to show you what I use. It just happens to be in here. These little containers, these little restaurant containers.
Right.
Can you see it?
I can see it pretty. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yep. I know what you're talking
about. So I can get like 4 heads of romaine in here, and I just clean them, and I'll take what we might eat, in a day, and separate them with like some paper towels. But I thought I was going to have to throw some lettuce away. And I actually had it for 16 days, and it was good on day 16 in this little container in the fridge.
That's crazy. Because, lettuce don't last that long around here.
Well, it doesn't here. I had so much, though. I got a good deal at Costco, and it was the organic, and it looked good. And I was like, okay, we're going to do that.
Right. No, I mean, it won't last that long because it'll go bad.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's funny living in California and growing up here and driving a truck. So I would be able to go to different grocery stores and things, like on the East Coast. And this is going back 30 years or so. God, I'm old. We hauled broccoli one time from the desert in California to a place in New York called Hunts Point. And it's where all the vegetables go for the city. And then, they had dudes with Uzis out there because vegetables are such a hot commodity. And I couldn't get out of the truck if JJ was out of the truck with the bill of lading and stuff and vice versa. It's very, very controlled, or it used to be. Even iced down and us driving like crazy and getting there within 60 hours and everything from the time it was packed. A lot of the vegetables I saw at that market that were premium vegetables were things that here we would have thumbed our nose at because it was already wilty like lettuce. It was already not anything we would want to eat. So that opened my eyes at a young age about how lucky you can be to eat local food.
Yep. And you're right, because, at the end of the day, you guys out there in California, y'all are blessed that you guys can grow year round. California, Nevada, places like that where they can grow year round. Well, certain parts of Nevada, not all. But for the most part, a lot Florida, you can grow year round, right? Texas, you can grow year round. Well, certain parts of Texas.
And it's parts of California too.
Right. Yeah, not all of California. Northern California, you can't. Right?
California is all kinds of stuff.
Right. Yeah, you guys got all 4 seasons year round.
But we're just in the valley, so we're in zone 9B.
Okay.
So it's just very temperate. I can grow kale year round. I can grow and this is outside. I can grow spinach year round. Certain varieties, of course. Not the little stuff you find at the store, but it's more like lacinato kale,
Right. Yep. The big
and a stronger cell structure. I love lacinato kale too, by the way. Dino kale. If you guys haven't had it, you got to eat it.
It's very, very good.
Oh, so yummy. So anyway, but like for lettuce and everything, I have lettuce and spinach growing in a wine barrel outside right now. And we should be harvesting it in like late March, early April. But after that, we're going to start an indoor nursery, and we're just going to grow lettuce year round inside, as well as like cilantro, because when you want to have and dill, because when you're ready to can or ferment dill pickles here, or not can them, but when you want to ferment dill pickles,
Right.
when the cucumbers are ripe, the dill has bolted.
Yep.
When you want to use your tomatoes to make salsa, there's no more cilantro. So we need to do that stuff indoors.
I know exactly what you mean, because we got the same problem here. Cilantro will bolt, and so will dill. And
when you need it.
Right. And you can even try the slow bolt cilantro, and it still bolts like crazy. So yeah, we got the same issues here that you guys got.
And you get the humidity.
It might be.
Yeah.
Because I've often wondered how come it's bolting in this temperature. It shouldn't be bolting at 75, 80, you know.
But what's your heat index?
I mean, it's not that bad at that time of the year when it's starting to bolt, like early to mid May, late May. It's not that bad. Oh yeah, it'll bolt. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was just us.
It might be the humidity, you know,
because
it's very, very humid.
Sunny of a spot, right?
Do what?
If it's in too sunny of a spot, because then you've got your microclimates on your property.
Right,
we can grow beautiful artichokes at our house, and we do. But we have to keep them on a wall that only gets, so against the house or against the fence, that only gets sun until about noon. If we plant it in a more general area or a place that gets the afternoon sun, the plants will just wilt and die in no time. But otherwise, they'll grow. My brother has some that are still 5 feet tall from last year.
That's insane.
He didn't cut them back or anything. And it's just in that perfect spot in his yard. So pretty cool.
And it is all about testing it out, because last year I had one dill plant that got sun from morning until about 2, right? To about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then it got shaded by the building and it got no more sun, right? So it had that early and early afternoon sun, early morning, early afternoon sun, and then after that it was done. And it grew huge, like it was like 4 or 5 foot tall plant, and
it needed that shade when it was so hot, and that's exactly how artichokes are here.
Okay, well,
and now
artichokes,
blackberries too. To be honest with you,
blackberries.
Blackberries. Oh my gosh. So we have, these blackberries that we have are so delicious, and they'll grow really, really well. And the harvest time in our area is usually between July 1st and maybe the 3rd week of July. And then we're done. And we have ours against a south facing wall that has brick behind it. And we all know that brick just absorbs that heat all day long, right?
Yep,
and then
it releases at night.
So we'll watch these berries grow. We'll have clusters and clusters of them. It's not a huge plant because we're in an urban setting. And they're just gorgeous. And then we'll go outside the next day or even in the same afternoon, and they're all dried up right, like fruit leather, all of them. So I think we need to relocate that. We're just going to take the newer canes. We're going to test it. And we're going to move them over to what I call the artichoke wall. And I think they're going to do quite well.
That'd be good. That'd be good to see, whether they do or they don't. I mean, maybe that's why mine didn't do any good.
I don't know. I always thought blackberries love that sun and love that heat and everything.
Right.
But when I think about where I see wild brambles growing, and growing well, it's usually like along the river where there are a lot of like a high canopy of trees and stuff. So
Right.
they're probably protected in the afternoon. I've never just sat there and, watched the sun pattern.
Yeah, because I mean, I go out and just pick them.
Yeah. Oh, I love blackberries.
We do too. Have you ever had Japanese wine berries?
No.
So they look like a raspberry. And for the longest time, especially growing up, that's what we called them, was raspberries.
Mm-hmm.
The difference though is raspberry bushes look like blackberry bushes, only red plants. You know what I mean? The leaf is a little bit different, but basically they look pretty very similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
A Japanese wineberry, however, has these fine hair thorns all over the stem, or whatever you want to call that long thing.
That's
Right?
like the raspberry variety that we have. Those things hurt.
Right. And here in West Virginia, they're an invasive species, so they're trying to kill them all out.
Oh.
Yeah, so I go and I dig them all up and plant them everywhere I can. So
the highways here and the county and the state just spray them, and I'm like,
them.
oh
Yes.
my
God. Does that not make you mad? Because that is a food source for not only people, but for the animals that they so-called love, the animals, right? But yet you go out and you spray this crap that
the animals eat.
Right. That we all eat. The animals and us, we all eat it, yet they spray it.
Yeah.
It drives me insane because it's completely opposite from what they claim. You know what I mean? And so we won't get on that subject, but
that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, because that's exactly what they do here. They run up and down the road, and there are people who they will spray their own. The state road will go by and spray your property if you have those berries on there growing along the side of the road. They'll spray your property unless you put up a sign that says no herbicides to be sprayed.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they sprayed your stuff, then they would get in trouble. But what's really bad is they spray it, and that's a source for the honeybees as well.
That's right. And it's indiscriminate. It does not care.
Exactly. And now you've just hurt the honeybees. And when you bring this up to them, it's like it either goes in one ear out the other. I don't know. It's just weird when you bring it up to officials and tell them, hey, can you stop spraying, because this is food for a whole plethora of animals, from the bees to us. And they're just like, oh, well, we're trying to spray for the invasive species, the Japanese wineberry. And it's like, you can't tell the difference between a Japanese wineberry, a blackberry, and a raspberry.
Before you know it, any of it's going to get immune. So years ago, before we really knew any better, we used to watch this guy on PBS, and he had all these concoctions for greening up your lawn, and all these things were found in your home, in your medicine cabinet. And one of the things that he did was like a green up tonic. And it was incredibly effective to get rid of mosquitoes and everything. Well, it was chewing tobacco brewed into a tea. And then I think it had like vinegar and a little bit of like lemon scented dish soap. And some of it had soda in it, and some of it had beer in it. Just different concoctions for different things.
Right.
And we would spray it on our roses to get rid of the aphids. But we never realized, and we did it maybe 2 years before we started hearing the word nicotinoid.
Okay.
And bees, the relationship between that and bees.
Right.
And we didn't have aphids, but we also didn't have bees or ladybugs or anything else.
Right.
And then we started hearing more about the decline of bees and everything, and realized that a nicotinoid, obviously it's coming from tobacco tea, right?
Right.
But it's in a lot of the sprays, the commercial sprays that they have that you can buy to kill bugs on your plants. So what we have started doing is we don't use like weed and feed and stuff like that. Whatever the ground needs in our yard, we keep it green. but whatever it needs, it's going to grow. Okay. So sometimes there's going to be stickers and things like that. But like right now, I'll probably go out it's going to rain this weekend. I'll go out in the next couple of weeks. We have ladybug larvae like crawling everywhere in our front yard right now. Do you know, have you ever seen them? They look like, I used to kill them because I thought they were bad bugs.
No, ladybugs are great.
But the ladybug larva doesn't look anything like a ladybug.
Right.
Right? Because it's got these little red stripes and it has little feet and it just doesn't look like a ladybug. But right now our yard is loaded with them. So now that we don't spray and we don't have people come out and spray, our yard is kind of like a nursery. And the other day we were outside with our neighbor and you could see tons of ladybugs just flying around. And it just made me feel good.
Right. Ladybugs are awesome.
They really are.
A lot of people will buy them and turn them loose in their garden because they're also a predatory bug. They
Yep.
will kill the bad bugs
Yep.
and stuff. So
They love aphids.
yes, they do. It's so cool how nature has a way of dealing with its own,
Mhm.
and keeping itself in check. And because we thought we could do it better, we put our grummy little paws and everything. And well, I won't say we thought we could do it better.
Government.
People, yeah. People thought they could do it better. And because they were greedy, they come up with a solution and they pitched the idea to us, hid the truth from us about ladybugs or whatever, right? And then gave us this stuff, like Roundup, okay, and other things that are harmful for our bodies, complete killer of
They're spraying
us.
it on our food and they're making food that can withstand it.
Right. Yeah, genetically modifying it to where it can withstand that, like.
That's another reason we have a garden.
Yes. I mean, how can you trust what you eat if
Yeah.
you're not the one that grows it?
Yeah. And like I love being able to go out in my yard. Right now is lemon season. Go out in my yard and pick a couple lemons and come in. Yes, I rinse them off because you get dust and everything in the air. I don't need to scrub it. I don't need to throw it in vinegar and let it sit for 15 minutes to dissolve whatever
They put on it.
prettified stuff they put on it so it looks more appealing in the store. And it's just a really nice feeling to know that there's just not going to be any of that on it.
Right. I mean, it is what it is.
What you were saying about spraying, I'm sorry, but this is such a big thing for me because what you were saying about the animals are eating the food and then it goes into the food chain and everything. We used to have so many frogs in this valley that you would run over them in the summertime in the car.
Yep.
I mean, they were just
rain.
blanketing the roads
Yep.
and yards. And we don't even hear frogs at night here unless you're out in the country near a stream or something. And think about all the people who have their homes sprayed to get rid of the spiders and, the nuisance bugs. But the frogs are eating those spiders and the frogs are eating those flies and they're eating those mosquitoes. And that's why we don't have any more frogs.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right. And then we go out and we eat the frogs here.
Oh, I love frog legs.
I love frog legs too.
I love them.
They're awesome.
Butter and garlic. I'm sorry.
Yep. They are
I haven't had
awesome.
that for like 40 years, but I remember how good they were.
Oh, they are tasty. And if you come over here in the summertime, I'll make sure we go catch a bunch of them for you and fry them up.
You go out and gig them?
Yep, we gig them. Every year we go out and gig them, and we love it. But it is that whole system, right? The entire thing is messed up and broke because we allowed them to sell us ideas that were completely based on their greed.
Right? Yeah, sure.
Right.
We know the big companies.
Yeah, and we believed the lies that we were fed. Oh, this is fine. This is fine. This will help. That'll help. Don't want spiders on your house anymore? Don't worry about it. We'll make a spray and get them all off of there. Never mind what it does to everything else. And then, they're not thinking about people like us. who go out here and gig frogs. Majority of people think it's disgusting, that a frog is just absolutely repulsive. And if you eat it, that's even worse, you know. But there's people like us who love frog legs, right? Who legitimately like eating them. And never mind those people, you know, that's just a small percentage, you know. So if they end up eating something and dying from the cancer that they end up, getting because of the whole system, and it's just a minute part of it all, right? It's kind of like the mesothelioma thing, right? How long did they know that stuff was bad for us, right? That asbestos was bad. How long did they have it in the shipyards and in the schools and everywhere else, right? Yeah. And knew it was bad. It's Agent Orange. How long did they know it was bad before it started? You know, so many things. And it's just like the Roundup thing here in the past few years. You know, oh, Roundup's horrible. You know, yeah. And then, like you said, now they're making stuff. They're genetically modifying it.
Well, and so now you make that. Then you have your genetically modified food. And I'm not saying that genetically modified food doesn't mean something, because farmers have been genetically modifying food by selecting good food, but over years, over decades. They don't go in and just remove this gene or that gene or insert a gene from something else. I think our bodies are okay if they can adapt to something over time.
Right.
To just do it. Right. I don't know. My husband's over here preach. Oh, he's talking to you. Oh, he's preach, brother, preach. And you got a new fan here.
Yeah. Cool. I like new friends, but I mean, it is the truth though. I mean, you know, like you can't just do these things and say, well, you know what, we want to make this plant more, you know, susceptible or less susceptible to this, so we're going to take this and pull it from this plant and put that in there. Right. What does that do to us?
Yeah, because we haven't had time to adapt to it.
Right.
And now at your age, I know now that you're young enough to be my child. So at your age, you probably grew up in a world where a lot of people had nut allergies growing up. When I was a kid, they freaking gave us peanuts. And they gave us raisins in school.
And eggs and milk.
Everybody had a peanut butter sandwich and stuff, right? And you have peanut butter on your crackers, peanut butter everywhere. Right. And I went to school with hundreds of kids, and there was peanut butter everywhere, literally. And this was in the 70s, and it was never a thing. I never saw a kid go into shock from any of the food they ate. Everybody had the same, you know, crappy bread or whatever, you know, except for that cool mom that made sourdough or whatever.
Right.
But we all ate the same stuff, and nobody had major allergies. Right. Now, it's because of all this genetic modification. Now you have so many people allergic to so many what used to be very common foods.
Right. Well, right. And let's think about this. So not only are they allergic to peanuts and other things, right? But now they have glucose allergens and, you know, this allergen and that allergen. So it's leached out and leaked over into multiple different things, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody's allergic to everything. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that goes into a whole different thing that I'm not going to get into, which, you know, little, but think about what that's done. You know, I mean, we don't know. We have no idea the effects of any of this stuff. And we see
we kind of do. We're seeing it.
Right. We're seeing it, but we had no idea. And yet it's, trust us. We know what we're doing.
Well, and who has the money? Oh, this might be bad. Who has the money to give to colleges for grants for studies on what they do?
Right.
And what do they want to do? They want to see something that is, you know, just straight across the board, blind studies, blah, blah, blah. Not so much.
Mm-mm.
Not so much.
You know, and look at who all's buying farmland in America. Right? Why does a computer geek need all the farmland? I mean,
Big farmers need, why do monoculture farmers need big land?
right.
You need to have a variety of things growing on your property.
Exactly. Right. And
So.
it's
Except for
so,
that super pumpkin dude I've heard about.
huh? What is it?
You, pumpkins.
Oh, yeah, pumpkins. Yeah, those like, so I had to explain the other day, what GMO was, because a buddy of mine, he wanted he lives in a different country, and he wanted the new purple tomato seeds that come out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't get them sent to his country from this one. And so he was like, hey, if I get them sent to you, can you? And I was like, yeah, I'll do that for you. So he got them sent to me, and there was 2 packs. So he's like, I was like, hey, there's 2 of them in here. He's like, oh yeah, one of them's for you. And I was like, all right, thanks. I wasn't going to say anything to him. I know that they're spliced with Snapdragon, to make them purple.
Snapdragons are poisonous.
Right. And so that they are that to make the tomato, they purposely put Snapdragon. All right. So Baker Creek had the tomato called the Purple Galaxy, and they were set to release that tomato this year. They ended up finding out that it was a GMO tomato, so they took it off. They even had it on their catalog. I mean, right on the front cover, and they took it completely down because they found out that it was a GMO. And so now this is not saying that you cannot get a true purple tomato that is purple through and through, because you can do it.
Yeah.
But it takes generations of breeding that and finding the recessive trait and continuing to breed that and breed it and breed it. Now, here's where people get confused on breeding recessive traits and breeding hybrids, because you would have to cross tomatoes to get the hybrid. All right. And then breeding those recessive traits. They confuse that as being genetically modifying, because you're playing with the genetics, but you're not really playing with genetics.
You're selecting the traits that you want.
Right. You're hybridizing, which hybridizing is completely different from genetically modifying something that you're pulling Snapdragon out of and putting into a tomato. Okay. And so that's what they did to get this tomato. And so I wanted to kind of read more on this. I'm interested about genes and stuff like that. So I go and I started reading on some forums and everything. And I seen there was a lot of confusion there about all this stuff. And so, but it did make me think, as a giant grower, what if we were to genetically splice, the giant pumpkin growth rate of almost 3,000 pounds into a tomato that can get 17 pounds already? How big of a tomato could we get, right? Like, as a grower of giant things, it did make me think, because it's fun to think, right? But that's as far as I would go with it, because any further than that, to me, is not good, right? That's trying to play God, and I don't want no part of that. But it was just kind of fun to think about. So I read a little article or whatever, and I posted it up, and there was a lot of confusion about genetically modified and hybridizing, which is what we do as giant growers. And everybody's like, oh, well, we're genetically modifying stuff every year when we grow it because we're crossing this with that. And it's like, no. And you had to explain what a genetically modified organism is, right? Because most people believe that if you hybridize, if you cross something, you have then genetically modified it, but you didn't. GMOs,
because you just schooled me on that.
Right. Yeah. You did. You all you did was hybridize it. That's what you made a hybrid of that same species. A genetically modified organism is whenever you have took one thing from, you've selected a gene from that plant or from that host, right? You have then extracted those genomes and then placed it into the host plant that you are trying to create, right? So Monsanto's will say, okay, in order for us to get a what's it called? Roundup ready plant, we're going to get plants that are not susceptible to Roundup. We're going to extract those genomes from them, and we're going to put them into the host plant that we want to, do. So corn or soybean or whatever they're wanting to do, right? And they put that gene into those, and now you have a genetically modified organism they grow that out, and then they collect the seeds off of it, and it has now got the full DNA of what they have inside of that seed, right? But it's a genetically modified organism. It's made up of organisms outside of the natural order within that species. So it's no longer just a corn variety or just a soybean variety. It now has whatever the host plant was that was able to fight off the Roundup. It is now in the DNA. So it'd be the same. Like they can even do it with animal. They can even say, okay, well, this animal can do X, Y, and Z, and they can extrapolate those genomes from that DNA from that animal and put it into plants and get stuff to grow from that. So that's why it's genetically modified organisms. And if you go and look at the back of El Paso hard shells, right? Go look at El Paso taco shells, hard shells. Most times you will find genetically modified organisms on the back of it, or the package.
They have to label it now.
Yep, they have to label it. Now, you also
Your bathroom world, by the way, I believe that started here in California because they were like, you're going to have to tell us what's in the food.
Right.
And everybody was mad about it, but.
Well, I mean, hey, look, the thing is now they try to hide it. They have to tell you on the pack, but you know where the information is, where you find all the health information at? I have found 5 or 6 different ones. I did a TikTok video on it. There was 5 or 6 different ones that were hiding it on the opposite side of the box or on the bottom of the box, right? Like they weren't putting it where the information was, where all the health information was, where the trans fat and all that stuff is.
And you're looking for it.
Right. Where you're looking for it. They put it on somewhere else where you're not looking for it. So then you just, oh, well, this don't have it in it. You pick it up, you take it home and you use it, because they have to tell you on the box, but they don't have to tell you in the section where the information's at. So yeah, it's absolutely crazy what they can get away with. But it is important though for us to understand, how GMOs work, how hybrids work. There's nothing wrong with a hybrid tomato, like celebrities. Celebrity tomatoes is a hybrid tomato. The only difference with a hybrid is generally speaking, a hybrid will be one generation. So it'll be the F1. So I don't know what celebrities are, but let's just say the cooked tomato. Okay. We'll call it the cooked tomato is a sweetheart cherry tomato and a sweet 100 tomato, right? Bred them together. The seed from that will produce the Cook F1. And every time that I want to grow a Cook F1, I have to have those two hybridized together one time to grow that, right? Because generally speaking, hybrids, when you grow the seed out from the hybrid that you grew, they will always revert back to the mother plant 9 times out of 10.
It's like chickens. It's like a barred chicken then.
Right.
Okay.
So, they'll always go back 9 times out of 10. Now, sometimes they will do the father, which would then be the recessive trait if you're looking for that. And if you're wanting to chase something down, you would have to chase down that recessive trait. Peppers, however, are about a 50-50 split. Whenever you crossbreed peppers, you get about a 50-50 split on those. So I mean, it's just weird, but there's nothing wrong with a hybrid, because generally speaking, hybrids are made to be heat tolerant, drought tolerant, pest resistant, whatever.
It's like the blueberries. We can't grow the same blueberry here that they can grow in West Virginia or Georgia. We have specific plants that were, hybridized to adapt to our environment.
Right. Exactly. And so, but naturally, that's happening naturally. So they're taking plants that were already naturally resistant to heat, drought, or pest or whatever, breeding them into something to create a better plant, and so that's natural. That's just naturally existing and all natural right there. But when you start taking things from it and injecting it into, then you're on a
you're gene splicing at that point.
Right, exactly. And so now you've created
weeds, and now the weeds, from what I've heard, and I don't do as much reading about these things as I used to, but now the weeds are resistant to it. So now we need to tweak that, because the weeds are all coming back. I just, yeah.
Well,
All of this goes right back to why do we garden? Why
exactly.
why do we use our space to grow our own food? And this is why.
Exactly. Well,
I don't have to wonder.
Here's the other part too. Things that we've been told were weeds, 9 times out of 10 are beneficial for us. Dandelion. Yeah. Goldenrod. All these things are beneficial to us.
Oh my gosh, you're going to love this. Okay. So people love to eat purslane.
Yes. And I've got oodles of purslane.
I was going to say, I am a millionaire. I am too. I still have never tried it. I need to try it.
It is good.
I'm like, oh, I don't want to eat that.
It is good, but
is it sweeter or is it bitter? Because I don't like the bitterness of a dandelion.
You gotta pick it kind of young, I think.
Okay, so that's when I try to get it.
Right.
Like right now, I have a purslane blueberry garden going right now. Not because I necessarily wanted the purslane, but yeah,
that's funny. But no, I mean, I've got go check out some of my videos from last year.
I will. I
have got purslane coming out of my ears. I couldn't get rid of it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to leave it for a cover crop. And as my pumpkin plants grow, I'll just cut it down and chop it and put it back down to the ground.
Did it work?
Yeah, it worked. But I'm like, where did it all come from?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know I don't know where it come from. It's like I tilled it and there it was. It's like, whoop, there it is. What the heck, man? But I tell you something else is Mexican restaurants love to use it. So if you've got a lot of it,
I'm in California.
See if they'll buy it from you because they love to.
Yeah, because we don't spray it or anything. I don't know if we'd have to be, certified as non-spraying. But
most of them won't mind about that. You know what I mean? They'll taste it, and if they like the taste of it, then they'll wash it, they'll taste it. And
do they put it like on tacos and stuff?
They make like salsa verde stuff out of. They make all kinds of stuff out of it.
I'm gonna have to look into this.
Yeah.
Every year I say I'm gonna pull some of it and try it, and right now, I mean, we just had buckets of rain, so it's just exploding in the yard. That and dandelion, and then I learned something from Ginger at Not for Nothing Homestead last year that there's true dandelion, like where one flower comes up, but then there's that fake dandelion that has multiple heads.
Right.
We have a lot of that. A lot of that. So be careful about which one you're eating. But those multiple head ones also have stickers and spines. And
everything. Yeah. No, we don't have any of those. I got just the true ones, and they are plentiful. In fact, I love them so much that I always make the kids go and get the ones that are potted out and go blow them everywhere in the yard. I'm like, go pick all of them and blow them everywhere. Like I want them growing everywhere. So
they're pretty too, and the bees like them.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. And let me tell you, dandelion jam. Oh, it is so good. So good.
She left earlier, but I've been saving this. Ginger sent me some dandelion jelly last year.
Man, that stuff
and
is
I'm saving
good.
it. I was like, because I don't eat a lot of jelly.
Right.
And so when I open it, I know I have to dedicate a week or so to having it, right?
Right. It's good stuff. You'll like it.
Really?
And then you can dig the roots up right now because it's early. You can dig those roots up and make tinctures out of them because they're packed full of vitamin C and a lot of other stuff right now. Because, all right, so if you marked them in the summertime, early fall when they're blooming for the second time of the year, or at least they do here. If you mark them, you can go out and dig them when they're in the ground in the wintertime. If not, you wait for them to reemerge in the spring and go dig them. And they're packed. The roots are packed full because in the wintertime, everything goes back down to the roots to wait for the next year to send it up. So it's the most dense, the most nutritionally dense root that you can get at that point.
Now, what do you do? Do you just clean them off, slice them up, and get a little crunch in your salad? Is that what you do?
Well, you could do that, but make a tincture out of it. So dig it up. Huh? Oh, it's all kinds of benefits. There's tons of benefits for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Look.
Time?
What is it?
Could you take it all the time as a preventative or?
Yeah, you can use it for a preventative, like on a drop, just take a dropper and stuff and use it. There's tons of stuff. And mullein is another one that I'm gonna yeah. Last year, mullein, Mullin, I think is what it's called. It might be En, but I think it's In. It's really good for a lot of inflammation and lung stuff and everything like that. I thought it was lamb's ear growing in my strawberry patch, so I was just gonna let it grow, and then it started growing this really long, 4 foot tall, about that big around cylindrical seed pod, and had these beautiful yellow flowers all the way around. Right?
I've seen that.
That's mullein. And I was like, what is this? So I was like, I'm going to let it grow. And I started looking, and I found out it was mullein. I was like, okay, well, I've got a whole bunch of seeds for that stuff now. And you better believe it's going to be out there in the yard getting planted like crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really good for you.
All of those things. The bugs love all of those things. Oh, JJ said more coming this weekend. Yes, sir. He's out there heckling us.
But yeah.
Now I'm going to go look for that. We don't have enough shade in our yard, I think, for some of those types of things to grow. So we do have more of your, real hardy stuff,
right?
Like dandelion.
Mullein grow right there by my greenhouse. So yeah, it was on the north facing side of the greenhouse. So it got sun all day, every day, and it grew great.
Wow.
Yeah. So I know it's getting kind of late. You wanted to talk about the seed thing.
Yes, please.
So what? Help me remember again. What are we wanting to?
Okay, so you're going to be doing a seed drive, right, or a seed exchange?
Yes. Tony.
It's going to be like 5, you big packets of 5. Just if you could just tell me more details, like how do they get packaged? What label needs to be on them for sure? How many do you think you need? Just everything.
All right. So Tony asked me if I wanted to help give some seeds away to get more people growing and gardening, and I'm of course because I think it's important that we all do that. And so I told him I'd participate in it. What we're going to do is I'm going to see what seeds I got available, and we'll package them up. Depending on how many there is per seeds and how many people want them. So first, what I'll do is I'll get a number of how many people are wanting seeds, and then I'll take that number and divide it by however many seeds I have, and that'll give me the number of seeds of how many people get. And then what we'll do is, I got a thermo label printer, and so it prints the labels. I stick them on a little old coin baggie, a little small Ziploc bag. Put that on there, and then package it up and ship it out to the people that's wanting the seeds. So there's tons of seeds. There's going to be several people. I think that's a part of it. Besides just me and Tony, I think maybe Dark Lord Minute is in there. Xander might be in it and stuff. And you can either right here, email Tony with your screen name, your name, address, and if you want to donate or receive or both, and if you can ship out of the U.S. or not. All right, so right there, thank you so much, Xander, for putting that up. But that's what it's about. If you want to ship out of the U.S. And you don't think you can, I'll tell you right now, it's very easy. So get you a large 4x9 letter envelope, white letter envelope. Get you some bubble envelopes, the little small, like 4x5s, I think they are, or 3x5, something like that, that fit down inside of, the letter envelope. Now, you may have to trim the sides of them up a little bit, but that's okay. But anyways, you put them in the bubble envelope to protect the seeds. And because if you send them as a bubble envelope, customs will confiscate them. So because they're a package at that point. If it's sent in a letter envelope, customs can't touch it because it's a letter and they can't open it. And so what you do is you take those bubble envelopes and you put your seeds inside those bubble envelopes, and then you put them inside of the letter envelope and send them as a letter to whatever country you want to send it to. So there you go. If you want to send it somewhere else that you're not sure about, that's how you do it. and you didn't hear it from me. So
So
anyhow,
how would that work then? So you're going to do the seed exchange. We have a lot of extra seeds here. So you're doing the seed exchange. Is it like a quilting bee of some sort? I mean, like, hey, Big Valley Living has, 8 packets of, dino kale, right? Or
right.
whatever. And then we would send it to those people, or how? Because we're not all sending it to Tony, right?
No, you don't have to send it to Tony. You can. All right, so you can do one of two things. Like Xander was saying, you can either send the seeds. Like if you say that you can ship them, then
Okay.
yeah,
I'm seeing that now.
yeah. Or if you can't afford to ship them, you can send all the seeds that you have. Like say you can't afford to ship the seeds everywhere to everybody,
Yeah.
but you can afford to ship them all the seeds to Tony, and then Tony would ship them to wherever they need to go. I think it's how that works. And so that's what you would do. You could either ship it to the individuals yourself, or you can ship them all to Tony, and then Tony will ship them to the individuals. But that's pretty much your choice and preference based on what you can and can't do. And then yes, so I do work. I am starting a nonprofit. So we're just we're waiting on everybody else to finish sending in their payments from the auction, and then I'm going to go to the lawyer, and we're going to start the process with getting a Skill to Heal group turned into a legit 501c3, so that we can start helping more veterans. So the companies that I work with and deal with, and the ones that I reached out to, that I was trying to get help from for the veterans, they all said that if I had a 501c3, they would definitely help. And so that's why we're making it a 501c3, so that we can get the veterans the help that they need. So it's a little
big companies. These are really big companies. It's impressive.
It is. So hopefully we can get that done. I'm hoping by the end of March that it'll be done. One thing I didn't realize is you have to be certified through the state first before you can go to the federal government and ask for it.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So I didn't know that until last week. And so now I have to go to the state and ask them first. And then once they say, yeah, then I can go to the federal government and ask them if I can be one. So hopefully it'll be done by the end of March. May end up being April before it's all through and over and said and done with. But we're trying to get it done as soon as possible, so that we can at least try to get these veterans the help this year.
Yes.
As soon as possible. So it just got to be
it's just so peaceful and connecting with the earth and everything, and keeping you mindful. I know this will be kind of silly, but the heckler over there, just kidding. I'll be in the garden, and then I'll start seeing worms, or I'll start, I'll unearth something, or ladybugs are crawling around. I have videos just watching bees going from flower to flower and pollinating, or ladybugs crawling up and down, and then the ants coming in. I just love the tiny network of like interspecies, right? Working together to make our healthy soil that grows our healthy food. It's amazing. All those tiny little creatures, and without them, we would be in big trouble.
Absolutely. We would, people take for granted what nature does.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They don't slow down. I always wondered, whenever you'd hear that slow down and smell the roses kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you talking about? Slow down. But
the older you get, the more you do appreciate that. Right. And you maybe wish that you had slowed down sooner.
Right. Exactly.
Paid attention to what it was. I definitely have squirrel tendencies, right? I'm going to chase every squirrel that comes my way.
Me too.
And that's why I like gardening, because if I go out there and I just have some music on, and I actually try to leave the phone inside on the charger, because we lived without phones for a long time.
Yep.
And just go out there and put an old-fashioned boombox, yes, we have one, and turn it on, and just have music, sing along, kind of quiet if you're in the front yard, or else you're going to look like a nut bucket.
That's okay.
Yeah, well, that is okay. If they don't like my voice, they can just keep on walking.
That's right.
But but just getting into what you're doing and your thoughts can wander, and it's just a wonderful thing. It
It
really
is.
is.
It is, and the peace that comes with it is very nice,
Mhm.
because you are slowing down and you are getting to see nature at its best, right, and what it's doing, and all the things that you take for granted. When you pick up that tomato out of the garden, did was you there when that gust of wind come through and pollinated it, or that bee
Yeah.
landed on it and jingled it? Was you there? Like,
Do you love? I love baby plants. I love when they just start coming out of the flower. There
right?
is something so magical, and
Yep.
I'll never get tired of that. Like peas and green beans. I love that. Well, I love them all. Like peppers and stuff. Here's a flower, and then all of a sudden, there's this perfectly formed, teeny tiny bell pepper, and
Yep.
all it does is just keep getting bigger. But it's the same thing it was when it was tiny.
Exactly. And to me, that's where slowing down and smelling the roses is it's where it's at. It's because you're looking at it and you're like, okay, like this had a process to get to
Hmm.
this point. What I'm holding in my hand, it didn't just happen. This
Hmm.
was over days, weeks, months, that
Yep.
this was formed. And when you do that, you don't take it for granted anymore. You appreciate it, and then not only do
Now
you
you
appreciate
actually
it,
look forward to the show.
right, right. And when you eat it, you have this sense of understanding, right? Like the process, and that makes it worth it, and I don't think when you're buying it from the store, you understand the process. I think
You
that's
don't
where
have a connection to the food.
right, exactly. And that's where the huge disconnect is. That's
Mhm.
why America is so wasteful. We're one of
Because
the
it's
most
just another thing that you can go get another one.
right,
Well, like when I first started canning, and they would say, the blossom end, the remove the blossom end of a cucumber before you, pickle it, right?
right,
You don't really understand that. I mean, you can look at it and identify it, but when you've grown something, you really understand. That was just a flower, and then boom, this tiny little fruit came out of it, and now you have food.
right,
And I don't know, they're all living little creatures, and I'm going to tell you that is why I have a hard time pruning a tree like the pomegranate right now. I let it go up more than I should have last year because I hate, and I know it's silly because it needs to regenerate, but I
right,
hate just wasting that. So that's why I want to make make
right.
hybrid, or not hybrid, make little plants, and just make sure other people grow them, because at least it's not just going into the green waste.
Right. Yeah. Because then you're not compost. It had a purpose, right?
Yes.
Because then you took what it created, what it spent time to grow, and you turned it into something that's beneficial for someone else. So that plant had purpose, And I'm the same way. Like whenever I plant stuff, people are always, in the giant growing community, they're always harping on me, about, if you'd stop growing so much stuff and just focus on giant pumpkins, you'd have already grown a 2,000-pound pumpkin. Okay, all right, that's fine. Or, if you'd stop growing so many giant pumpkin plants and just focus on 3 of them, you'd have done hit 1,500 or 2,000 pounds. Okay, but I feel an obligation that once I start that plant, once I start that seed, and it
Mhm.
shows a will to grow, I feel an obligation that I should continue to grow it
Yeah.
until it doesn't want to grow anymore. And so I have a hard time going out there and taking pruners to it and saying, well, this one didn't make the cut, boys, and snip it off its ground,
Yeah.
because it gave me all it had until I have to make a decision that it's no longer uh, a good decision in my interest, not its interest, but in my interest to cut that.
Right.
And who knows that how many pumpkins I've cut or prematurely that might have been the biggest one I've ever grown.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. You
Right.
never know what's in that one. That
Right.
might be a diamond in the rough right there.
Exactly. It might not be a
Yeah.
huge plant to start out with.
Yeah.
Right. A perfect example was last year. I had a 1533 Rebe and a 275 Cook. I planted
Uh-huh.
both at the same time. They both came up, and the 1533 Rebe was like this big when I put it in the ground. but the 275 cook was huge. I mean, and the only reason why I put the 1533 in the ground was because I was just like, well, I got it. I'm gonna stick it in the ground, and just it'll probably die in a day or two. Well, the 275 cook died 2 weeks later, and but whenever it died off, the 1533 went, and it grew 717.
Itself.
Yeah. I mean, it just boom, and I'm like, what the heck? So I'm like showing everybody, like, look at this, man. Like, this was what it was a month ago, and this is what it is now. Like, I wasn't even betting on this plant. I just,
And I can't grow a pumpkin to save my life.
Oh, you can.
In honor of you, I'm going to grow a dang pumpkin this year.
There you go.
Not a state fair pumpkin, but I'm going to grow a pumpkin. In fact, I want to grow the kind of pumpkin that I can turn around and can and bake. Yeah. Oh, I love
Jarradales are good.
Nice little sugar something.
Sugar baby, or no, not sugar
baby. Yeah.
They're let me see. The sugar pie ones are good. Jarradales are good. Those are very good. The blue ones.
They're pretty too.
Yeah, they're very pretty. And then the white borer is a good one. They taste very,
to eat.
Yep, white borer.
I only see them on people's porches here.
That's because people don't understand you can eat them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They just look at it as decoration, but it's food. But yeah, both of those, the blue one, the white one, those are both good ones to eat. They taste very, very good. And the white one is very, very small seed cavity, so you get a lot off of it. So like it's a very little, like maybe that big around inside of the seed cavity. So if you got a pumpkin that big around,
oh my gosh, that's a lot of food.
Yeah, it's a ton of food.
Can you eat pumpkins raw?
I mean, you can, but it depends on the sugar content of that pumpkin. So whatever the Brix level is on that pumpkin would be the determining factor on what you would want to eat or not. In fact, pumpkins that you eat aren't technically pumpkins; they are squashes.
Yep. Okay.
So yeah, they're not the actual
pumpkin was squash. Actually,
what is it?
I thought all pumpkins were squash.
Right. Well.
But some of them vine like cucumbers.
They're all cucurbits. All right. So that is the family name is a cucurbit. And then you break cucurbits down into cucumbers, and then your squash family, which is C. machata, C. pepo, C. mixta, and C. maxima. All right, so those are the four that you break them down into. C. pepo is like your field pumpkins, your hard stem pumpkins. Those are C. pepos. C. maximas are your Atlantic giants and your Cinderella pumpkins. Your C. machatas are the Blue Bayou, or not Blue Bayou, the Blue Jarradales, the white borers, things like that. And then your C. mixtas is like Cushaw and stuff. So, yeah. And then,
can we do this again?
What is it?
Can you and I do this again? There's a lot to learn from.
Absolutely. We can do it anytime you want.
Oh, my gosh.
I love doing this stuff. It's fun. But
I think it's time for Yogi to go night, huh? I don't know what he's talking about. He wants me to make dinner.
Oh, okay. Well, look, I can let you go, but yeah, I mean, it was great having you on this evening, and I would love to have you back on again.
I love talking all things nature and plants. This was a lot of fun.
I do too. Is there anything that we might not have hit on that you'd like to touch on real quick?
Go get a colonoscopy when you're 45 years old, Americans. Please. Might do yourself a favor.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And safely can your food. But I'm just really looking forward to gardening. And now you've just like really put a lot of fuel into that fire. And here I want to get my veggies going inside. I just bought a Sacramento County Extension calendar. And so we have a few zones in our valley, but for the most part, we're zone 9. And it tells you, resist planting this in this month because this could happen. And I've never really read the extension in that way. And there's like a story on the top part of the calendar and then planting. So
Right.
I'm really excited this year.
That's cool. That's cool. I love when people get excited about gardening because that's what it's all about. It's about being excited and about growing your own food.
Yep.
So, guys, if you have not checked out Michelle at Big Valley Living, I highly recommend that you guys go check her out and subscribe to her channel. It's a great channel. We really, really enjoy it, and we really appreciate her. So, real quick, I'm going to go over the dates that we got real fast here. So next week, March 5th, we got Dirty Punk Gardening coming on, guys, and
ooh, that's gonna be a good one.
Yes, very excited about having Jeremy on with us. So mark it down next week. Jeremy will be here with us from Dirty Punk Gardening. Then we have on March 12th, we got Blue from Blue Self-Reliance. March 19th, we're not going to be live. We're going to be releasing John Kohler from growyourgreens.com. He's a big YouTuber. Go check him out. Almost 1 million subscribers. And we sat down for an hour and we talked about why he grows and why he plants what he does. And we had a wonderful conversation. We did a pre-record. So on March 19th, that's going to be released. Again, John Kohler at Grow Your Greens. You can check him out on YouTube. Huge YouTuber. And I'm very thankful that he decided to sit down with me and have a conversation. March 26th, we're still trying to nail down somebody. And if they will accept, we've got a good one for you. April 2nd, we've got Aileen from Welcome to My Kitchen. April 9th, we've got Marco from Agro Thrive. They are one of our newest sponsors we're going to be working with this year, and we're happy to be working with them. So stay tuned for that one on March 9th. April 16th, we're going to start switching into giant growing. So we got Travis Ginger and Randall from Extreme Gardening. April 23rd, we got Jim Ford. He's also a giant grower, really great man. April 30th, we got Chad New from Colorado Giants. May 8th, we've got Tony from Kettle Kitchen, and that'll be on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday. May 14th, we got Christine from Gillum Farms. May 21st, we're still trying to nail that one down. May 28th, we've got Enoch Graham, the Urban Gardener. June 4th, we've got Zach Hatton from Hatton's Homestead. June 11th is Nick Kennedy. He's the California record holder for a giant pumpkin out there, like 2,497 pounds.
Does he live in Southern California or Northern?
I think maybe close to like middle part of California.
Okay, good. Then he probably takes a step to the state fair, and now I have every reason to go and see at the state fair.
There you go. Yep. So then we got on June 18th we got Adam Weber, and then on June 25th we got Jesus Loving Homestead. July 2nd we got Milk and Honey Homestead. July 9th, we got Florist Florida Farm. July 16th is open. And then we've got Where to Begin Homestead on July 23rd. And then July 30th is open. And August 6th, we've got Texas Garden Guy. If you ain't checked him out, go check out Texas Garden Guy on Instagram. That dude is a crazy cool dude. Really like what he does.
Man, you are a planner.
Yeah. We're planned all the way through, but I'm going to stop right there. So we're not all the way through. There's dates that are open, but we got more that are planned. But anyhow, guys, if you want to come on, I'd love to have you on. You don't have to be a big YouTube channel. You can be a small one. I don't care. If you want to come on and talk about homesteading or gardening, love to have you on. So email me at babydrill2119@yahoo.com, and we will get you scheduled. Again, thank you so much, Michelle, for coming on this evening. And tell JJ thank you for being patient with me. And
I will.
And
Thank you again for the invitation. This was a lot of fun. And everybody in chat, I know so many of you, but like there are new names, Jeanette Humphrey. It is just nice to meet new people too. So thanks.
Yes,
thanks
it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So guys, like always, we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time right here in the Hollers and Hills of West Virginia. See y'all.